let's get Lou Bastone into a debate.
Okay, let's have him debate flow state. How about that? Let's see if he can debate flow state, and if he can beat flow state, I will donate right now to flow state and him $25 a piece. How's that?
Yeah, I can moderate this.
Go ahead, Lou Bast. Let's pick a subject and see if we can. Ask Flow State. I think Flow State can beat you at any subject. That's how smart. He's much smarter than you in any subject.
I have to agree. Why going to jail for no reason at all is not a good winning strategy.
Oh, I like this topic. This is good.
Okay, how about this? This is the topic, okay? How about we debate?
I would go legal lawful. I go. I think the topic should be that because Lou Bass is in the lawful and.
Lou Bass has something he's good at. I agree because if I get something like
legal lawful, I think that's two areas of debate that would be interesting between Lou Bass and.
So really, we're debating pragmatism versus idealism, right?
Okay.
Well,
do you agree that Lou's position on legal lawful is not pragmatic? It's actually probably self-destructive more often than not, but it's idealistic.
I will agree that there is some level of unrealistic ideas, and it is not as pragmatic as it could be. But I believe that the end goal can be pragmatic, although getting there can have its levels of.
So we got to go through the stupid ideas to get to utopia.
I'm not saying that there is no utopia. I don't believe there is a utopia.
I will take my license plate off my car and go drive around the rest of the morning. If you walk up to your nearest tenant and wipe your greasy fish hand on their face without saying a damn word, just smear. And then walk away.
Listen, if I did that to the woman that lives there, she might fucking take it as a come on. And
she would have a heart attack.
I'd start blowing me. I don't know. I can't risk that right now.
You mean he'll start blowing you because you're gay? But go ahead.
No, she's a woman.
Yeah.
I don't want to start. I don't want to, shit where I sleep, and I don't want to bang my tenants either.
At least not during Ramadan, right, Lou?
But yeah, basically, I find no virtue in martyrdom. I think it's selfish, self-indulgent, and is the least productive thing you could do with yourself. Just generally, as a way of being. Everybody remembers one martyr. Nobody remembers all the bazillion others.
Well, that's a statistic.
I mean, I guess. Listen, to some degree, martyrdom is someone actually that's not tied to the outcome. They've made a decision that they're standing on something and they're willing to give their life for it. That's what martyrdom is. It's not about actually creating or making something happen. It's someone who's decided that this is what I'm willing to stand on here, no further. Do you have any of those lines in your life?
A thought or a cause or an idea that I would just die for to go out. No, I don't. I care about people. There are people that I would do that for, but I'm not just going to go, you know what? I really believe in trans rights. And if you won't let trans people cut their dick off, I'm going to cut my neck. Like, it's just not going to happen. I'm not that dramatic.
There you go. You've answered your own question. This is why you don't believe in the idea of martyrdom, because you don't understand it fully.
What's the idea of martyrdom that I'm missing?
Martyrdom is I believe, maybe I'm wrong, it's just my own belief and my looking at it from the outside, is someone who has come to an understanding of whatever situation it is, and say, for example, the driving with no license thing, has looked at it, has evaluated it, and has said, okay, I am supposed to be living in a free country, yet I have to pay a tax, a service, or blow someone to take my property from point A to point B. This I don't agree with, and I'm not willing to let anybody step past that line. If you choose to step past that line and you can overpower me, I'm not going to fight you. You do what you got to do, but I'm not willing to go past that line, so I won't allow you. And if that means spending a few days in a box, then I spend a few days in the box. That's maintaining the belief in your own honor. That's protecting your own inner space. It's not about making it so that next day, oh, fucking Louis went to jail for not driving without a license. Okay, we're going to stop all the licensing now. It's probably not going to stop.
Okay, can I say something? I'm sorry, Full Stick. Can I say something real?
No, you can't. This is a debate.
Well, I don't know why you're doing that. It actually only helps empower the systems that you're supposed to be pushing against. You think that they don't? You think game wardens don't want people to fish without a license? Cops don't want people to break the law? This is how the system gets its power.
That is true.
I believe what you're saying is the opposite of what gives it its power. It's the opposite. It's what weakens them, not what gives them power, right? I believe that. Why do I believe that? Because a cop, say for example, a cop who's actually a good man and believes in the law.
This is where yeah. I just don't think there's that many of them.
No, I don't care if there's none. I'm just making a hypothetical idea. I believe there should be at least one somewhere. I haven't seen many, but say, for example, a guy gets into being a police officer because he wants to do good. His life was saved as a child by some police officer, and he never forgot it, and he wants to be a police officer to do good and to follow the law and to stop criminals from doing bad things, and he does that, right? And then he spends his whole life doing what he thinks is the right thing. How then can he come to the understanding that what he's been doing is actually the opposite of what the right thing is? That he hasn't been supporting the laws, that he hasn't been a law enforcement officer. He's been a statutes, policies, and codes officer. He's been a collect revenue officer. He's been a hurt people that didn't harm anyone else officer. He's done everything against what he's started out to do. What can you say to convince him? The fear in him accepting that idea would be so strong, it wouldn't allow him to see it. Right?
I think that you need to recognize that not everybody has. I mean, first of all, the person that you just described doesn't exist. Nobody gets that far into a police career without knowing that.
I'm going to give you a name. I'm going to give you a name that I believe did and martyred himself for it. Christopher Dorner. Look up his story and you'll understand what I'm saying. Christopher Dorner was like a 6'4" black man who became a police officer because he wanted to do good for his community. And they burned him alive.
Yeah. Cops don't let that hang around.
Sorry?
So you're trying to set an example for people who are either A, morally corrupt knowingly, or B, cowards and complicit,
or both.
What's the C? Or both, or D, or C. I guess C could be denial. They're in denial. There's a lot of them that are absolutely resistant to thinking outside of the "I'm the law, this is right," da 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 da. But really, they're just moral prostitutes. So, if we understand that there are bad people in the world, and there will always be bad people, and there are people who want to impose force on other people, regardless of the means, then what do we do with that paradigm? Because I'm not going to go down with a ship trying to hope that I come across the one cop with a soft heart. The best way to interact with that system is, one, to minimize your interaction with it, and two, when you do interact with it, interact in a way that minimizes your damages and minimizes their rewards.
That's because you have a selfish motive and you're tied to the outcome. You believe that this moment in time, I don't even like the word moment because time doesn't exist. You believe you've been placed here to do something that is completely for you and no one else, right? So you're completely tied to the outcome. So of course you can't see yourself going further than that. Because, and when, in my personal belief is when you can't do that, you can never arrive at true nirvana. Is that the right word?
Utopia. That's the word. The first word I used.
No,
I think it's the one you're looking for.
No.
Well,
Utopia,
I would replace that by self-realization.
Whatever, yeah. Call it whatever you want. You guys know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So you can't arrive at actually being self-realized, if you want to use that word, because you're extremely tied to the outcome.
You are massively narcissistic.
I'm narcissistic.
First of all, I don't know what gives you such solid insight into my motives, but let's play a hypothetical. Okay, so say that driving without a license is a death penalty, and we're both standing in our rights. When you're sitting on death row because you stood up to the man for your own selfish reasons, and your family is distraught because you're about to die, did you do the right thing, or did you do a selfish, impulsive thing?
Well, I mean,
because what's bigger than your individual sentiment or ideal is the people around you. You're actually the one being selfish by not recognizing that there are people that probably depend on you, probably love you, probably care about you, and you just took yourself out of benefiting all their lives because you felt some certain sort of way.
So you're doing it for the children.
I'm doing it for my child. I'm not doing it for humanity's children. That's you.
The sentiment is no different, right? Is it any different than think of the children? Right? It's no different. It's just making...
Yeah, I mean, one is actually a real connection you have, and the other is again an ideal. It's an appeal to emotion. You're doing the think of the children by trying to fall on the sword for utopia. I'm going, hey, fuck that shit. I've got responsibilities. I've got people who depend on me.
Right. And I understand that sentiment because I carried it at some point, not for very long, but at some point I adopted that sentiment. And I think it contributed to some of the lack, I'm not going to say destruction, but let's just say the lack of improvement and forward motion in my life because of that sentiment, that I was doing something for my children when I didn't realize, and I wasn't able to put two and two together to say, wait a minute, by me standing for the rights and freedoms of my rights and freedoms, I'm standing for the rights and freedoms of my children. I may not succeed, right? But I will definitely not succeed when not risking at all. And that's where you stand, I believe. At least I'm getting the sense from you that you stand in the position where don't risk so you don't have to die, right? Where I stand in the position where nothing risked, nothing gained. If I never stand on rights and freedoms, my children I leave that job to my children, so I'm harming them. I'm saying, fuck it, I ain't going to do it. You do it, kids.
So without saying anything more about it, I'm going to say that just since we're on YouTube, I'm going to say I probably do more of what you're describing than anybody on this panel.
Like, what do you mean do more?
That's exactly where I'm not going any further into depth.
Okay,
you're just gonna have to take my word for it or leave it alone.
Hold on a second. I'll actually give you both a 2-minute closing statement on the topic.
Oh, we're done. We're done now.
Well, I don't know because you didn't want to say anything else about it, so I'm like,
well, no, I'm not going into any detail.
Well, you don't need to go into detail to give an idea of what you're talking about. You don't have to say, look, I do this.
The things that I do are not because I've deluded myself into thinking that by not tagging a vehicle or renewing my license late, that any of this shit is going to have any impact in the big picture. Like I'm just not that. It's a play out word.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not saying you did this or I have done it or are doing it. But if your daughter's hungry, I suspect you're saying I may as well go out, and if I have to steal a loaf of bread, it's because I'm feeding my daughter, and you can justify that as something that is of value and that is I never get the right word.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about, right? So you see that as a value. You see that as a virtue. You are protecting your child even if you have to steal.
Correct.
Right? So
absolutely.
your child grows up having zero idea of what honor is.
My child grows up understanding that there are priorities of importance in your life, and you don't let your own family starve to respect the property rights of a neighbor or a stranger. Absolutely.
So the last thing you would consider to make sure your daughter's fed well is going out and sucking a cock.
Lou, I would steal the fillings out of your teeth if she wanted to get a manicure.
See? There you go. So you're not interested in actually giving your daughter direction in this world that could actually make a difference. Your daughter could be the one that changes it all. Sometimes it's just one person, right, that changes everything. It's just a chosen person. And you're saying that you're not willing to contribute to giving that person the foundation they need to become the one that actually ends wars and legal secrets.
Actually, I am giving her the foundation I need, or that she would need. Whether or not she does it, that's
she should kill, steal, and destroy to get what she wants.
If it comes to that, then yes, that's what she should do.
And so, is there honor in that? Is there faith in that? Is there anything of true?
Are you telling me that you think there's more honor in teaching your daughter to suck a cock than there is in taking what you need?
No. I said you suck a cock.
Oh, I thought we were talking about teaching your daughter to suck a cock.
Hold on.
Why the fuck would I suck a cock?
Hold on, because you would rather go steal that loaf of bread for $2.50, whatever it is, than for some gay guy to come along like Hank and say, look here, I'll give you $2.50 for the loaf of bread, suck my cock.
Absolutely.
You would not do that.
I would absolutely steal the bread.
Okay, so you're not willing to actually do an equal value exchange that would feed your daughter, despite how humiliating you may feel it is. You want to go the kill, steal, and destroy way.
And you would prefer to suck cocks?
I would never prefer to suck cock, but stealing is not the honorable thing, because then you're actually breaking the law, right?
Well, the laws. We both know that the law is not where honor comes from.
Well, it doesn't matter if it comes from that. If you break the law that's written in your heart, not the one that men wrote down on paper, talking about the one you were born with, the one you know that's there, the one that you feel when you lay your head down in bed, there's no one else there, you can read that law.
Lou, let me explain how the law of flow state works. If there's a gay guy out there who's willing to say, you either starve to death or you suck my cock, I will steal from that motherfucker. I will steal his kidneys and I'll sell him on the black market. I don't care about him. I'm not looking out for his rights at that point.
Right. Now,
and nor should you.
Obviously, this is a fairly extreme example of what we're talking about. But if you break it down,
don't move off that point. Don't move off that point, though. If somebody is willing to put you in that paradigm, where you either starve or you suck their cock, then they're not your friend.
I would suggest, and having faith in what is right and what is good, that no matter how degrading and how disgusting I may feel it is, but I'm doing something where I've caused no harm. I've made an exchange of value, right? So the only one that was going to feel harm is me. My daughter will eat and life will go on, right?
Or the person that could feel harm.
No one was killed. No one was killed. I'm not saying
we're talking about a person who has the ability to end starvation for you, and instead they say, suck my dick. That person doesn't deserve to be respected.
But I never said it's a friend of mine. I just said some person.
Hank's sitting up there with that creepy ass smile on his face.
Hank wants you to suck his cock for a donation to your PayPal. How much are you willing to give?
And let me go a step further. If somebody gave me that scenario, I would inflict damage on them just for the pleasure.
What if that gay guy that you want to inflict damage on, only because he offered you a way out? He didn't offer to kill you. He didn't offer to steal from you. He only offered you a way to feed your family.
If I have the capacity at this point to take it against his will, I'm going to take it.
Right. And what if he has the capacity to say, buddy, you met up with the wrong queer, and I'm going to bust your ass, and then I'm not going to give you $2.50 to buy a loaf of bread, but I'm going to make you suck me, I'm going to fuck you, and then I'm going to go and do it to your daughter. Because I'm going
to say, no, take the Bastone girl and the tenants instead.
You think that's out of the realm of possibilities? That's pretty much
as long as I stay away from Canada. I'm actually kind of happy I'm not allowed in your country right now.
That's where we stand right now. That's the position we're in right now, where you have to suck these cops' dicks in order for them to give you safe passage, right? That's where you live. Now, you may not literally be sucking his dick to get it, buying the license and getting the proper insurances and doing all this stuff. But metaphorically, is it any different? Do you want to go pay to have your fucking property registered and insured for some outrageous amount of money that you can't even regulate?
Registration is a scam. I'm okay with property with liability insurance and with driver's licenses.
Yeah. Obviously, yes, because only one of them makes my dick wet.
But therein lies the problem. If we allow ourselves to be incrementally stepped on, if we allow ourselves to be incrementally bent over and banged, then the pain and suffering is not ended, it's just delayed. And so you may not pay it in your miserable life today. I may not pay it,
Lou,
but our children may have to pay it.
The battle that you think you're fighting against insurance and driver's licenses is not one that I actually have an issue with.
It's just one thing. It's not even the biggest thing, but it is a fundamental thing. How much more fundamental is there on this earth than being able to take your property and go from here to there without having to pay someone?
The reasonable assurance that you can take your $100,000 truck out on the road, not get sideswiped by a drunk motherfucker eating chicken necks.
So that doesn't happen now. You're suggesting that doesn't happen anymore because we have licensing and insurance and registration.
It happens much less.
I would suggest that it happens more.
I would suggest that without mandatory insurance, you would have a disaster of people suing each other.
Neither of us can be really, truly, we can't quantify that idea.
No,
right?
All we can do is speculate.
Speculate, that's about it. But there is some, I don't know exactly where you would find it. I saw it a long time ago. Some evidence that when Prohibition started, that the level of alcoholism increased on an exponential rate.
Absolutely.
Right? So because they created a statute, policy, and code that said you cannot drink alcohol, people actually drink alcohol more.
That is true.
What you're saying, if that is true, and I can't prove it at this moment, maybe one day I'll look for it and send you the evidence.
Yeah, no.
But if that is true, does it not then nullify your fucking position?
No, because I don't look at insurance and booze the same way. Alcohol is a vice, right? It's an indulgence. Nobody indulges in the thrill of paying insurance or the thrill of not paying for insurance. It's one of the most boring things there is. I don't think it has the same mental strings attached to it.
You're taking it to a place that has no real relevance in this discussion.
You don't think psychology has relevance? Well, psychology definitely has relevance. You brought up psychology when you asked me why people would drink more.
It's easier. I'll give you that it's easier to just say, fuck it, I'll give them their insurance and their registration and they'll leave me alone. Yeah, I would say that's easier, right? Than having to accept that you're an Italian and drinking wine for dinner has been a part of your whole life's history, and you don't want the government to tell you you can't do that. Yeah, it's probably easier to just pay somebody, right? But the value from it is not going to be any different, or the lack of value or the harm from it is going to be the same, right? Just like when they stopped allowing people to drink, when they tried to stop people from drinking, people drank more, right? And I've seen a study recently, because in Ontario, or Canada in general, I believe, I don't know about other provinces, but I know in Ontario, there's only a finite number of insurance companies, and you have to pick one of these insurance companies, and the government cannot regulate what they charge. So if you got like a couple extra tickets, they could charge you, like a friend of mine was quoted $15,000 a year for insurance because he had a bunch of tickets, right? So they can literally charge you whatever the fuck they want without any regulation, and you have to pay it. So what if tomorrow it becomes, okay, $15,000 is not enough. Now we want to fuck your little 13-year-old daughter. And can you bring her around at 4 o'clock because that's my break time?
Well, Lou, that's when I'll stop paying for insurance. What if it comes to that?
Then what? Then all you wanted to do to save your daughter...
Then I'll be sitting there going, I wish that I had just gotten arrested sooner for driving without a license. Fuck no.
What you would have done is you would have said, I wish that I had fucking stood on what's true and right sooner. Lou, Maybe I could have made a difference.
I don't know how to ask this without sounding rude as fuck. How can you be so megalomaniac, such a megalomaniac, to think that you sitting in a fucking cell because you didn't buy insurance makes any difference to anybody? All it does is provide a slight bump in funding to the jail that's housing you.
What difference did that make for 25 years that Mandela spent in the jail? And nobody, I don't know.
Did it make a difference?
Well, nobody thought of him for 25 years.
Lou, have you been to jail? Did it make any difference to anybody?
Well, because I went to jail for the wrong reasons, right?
I mean, I spent a few months in jail. It didn't help anybody out at all.
I'm not saying that. Did you ever hear me say that being in jail will benefit someone? I never said that.
It benefits the jail.
What I'm saying is that if you can't stand for what's true and right today, you won't stand on it tomorrow.
And what I'm saying is you're not standing, you're falling. If you fall, you're suggesting falling for what you believe in, not standing.
Well, it's not falling, it's being knocked down for what you stand on. And
either way, if you're face down, you're face down.
Most people that stand on what's true and what's right and what's honorable in the beginning will be knocked down. The founding fathers of your wonderful country of America were the criminals of their day. They were not the fucking top brass when they started.
You know what they didn't do? Go and knock over the king's teacup. They didn't go straight to jail. They actually tried to stay out of jail so they could make a difference in the big run.
Right. And so
they dressed up like Indians. They actually avoided getting arrested and becoming martyrs.
Okay, so are you doing any of that? Can you give me an example of what you're doing?
I'm definitely not about to admit to anything on fucking YouTube right now. Lou, I'm not retarded.
Yeah, you don't have to say details.
Are you doing any? Why don't you tell me what you're doing, Agent Lou?
I'm doing many things, many things. Number one, I do not pay slave tax because I don't believe that I'm supposed to pay slave tax.
What is slave tax?
I'm not a slave. Right?
That now, income tax?
There are some income tax. There are some taxes that I started paying prior to me understanding what I was doing. And I'm kind of all in to the point where if I had
now
to fight
you keep doing it because you don't want to lose your real estate. I get it. I would do the same thing.
Right. But there's
and you're not paying income tax because you don't have W-2 income.
Sorry?
You don't have regular income. You don't work a salary.
How do you
I'm
know
speculating. Am I wrong?
Well, I can tell you that I have income.
Because it's Tuesday at lunchtime. I don't have income.
Sorry. Let me take that back. I do not have income. I make consensual exchanges of value between men and women. That's what I do.
You know that
sometimes that occurs with fiat currency.
Okay. Well, I mean, the little change in language is not the. I don't know how Canada's revenue code is, but in the U.S., it covers everything. There's a section in there that says you must pay taxes on income earned through illegal activity. It's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here. It's pretty much the same. It's not much different. Only ours is probably at a higher rate. So instead of paying, 15 or 20%, we're paying 60%. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's closer to 50 at least.
Yeah. So
they take half your money.
Yes, they are.
From where I am sitting, it seems that the best way to fight back against an overreaching government is financially chip away at it, and that's best done by not requesting more government services. When you get arrested, whether you want it or not, that registers as a request for government services.
Well, not if you don't sign their paperwork.
Sure, it does. If they're housing you, if they're devoting manpower, resources, and infrastructure towards dealing with your ass, then that's more money that they are spending through their activities that they then next year get to go and request higher budgets for the next fiscal year.
But it's still non-consensual because I'm not signing their paperwork, and they can't tie me to it as long as I keep my name off their paperwork. Technically, by their rules, I'm not supposed to be billed for it. They're not supposed to, it's not supposed to be happening, period.
Regardless of
I'm not willing to contract with them.
Regardless of whether you pay for it or a taxpayer pays for it, when they are spending employee resources, or when they're spending government resources dealing with you, that's more revenue that they can then request next year. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, very true.
My entire approach to this system is to try to nickel and dime it where I can. Actually, that was what I did when I was in fucking jail. I had everybody in all of the jail taking all of their toiletries every morning and then just throwing them away if they weren't going to use them. Right? Like, you nickel and dime these places. They don't like that shit. It's all about money.
Because you don't believe in yourself, Taylor.
No. What the fuck are you talking about? It's because I'm not deluded.
Don't believe yourself, Taylor.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
I believe
it doesn't
you
have
do
anything
not
to do with
believe in yourself. Because if you believed in yourself, you would be actualized, you would be realized, and you would make a stand somewhere in your life.
How would you be able to tell?
Every time I ask you where, give me one simple example where you make a stand in your life, you're not willing to say it. So I'm going to have to suspect that it's not really there.
Okay. That's fine. I'm absolutely okay with that. You're right. It is not there.
Okay. So, I mean, there's an old saying, and I don't remember it, and I'll butcher it, so I'll just say it in my dumbass WAP way. Something about in the beginning, when a patriot is scorned and hated until his thing succeeds, until his cause succeeds, and then it's easy to be a patriot. So everybody jumps on. So that's the point. What is your cause? Hold on, let me finish. So a patriot is scorned and ridiculed and hated when he's alone in his cause. But when his cause succeeds, then all the other people jump on, and he becomes the hero because it's easy.
What is your cause, Lou?
So your cause is to wait someone else.
No. What is your cause? You're the one on the soapbox.
My cause is to be as honorable as I can, to do what I can to spread the message of this message, and to keep out of the system as much as possible. I could give you one example about using banks. or actually even keeping money itself, right? As long as you have currency in your hands, physical paper dollars, you are contributing to the system. And then the minute you install those, you return those paper dollars to who owns them, the banks, the Federal Reserves, the International Monetary Fund. Now you've given them back something that actually creates more of these fake dollars. So I do everything in my power not to use those fake dollars. But there are some places where I have to. So I have to receive rent from my tenants in these fake dollars. So I have a method where they can do that. But if I have any accumulation of fake dollars, I immediately convert them into something that has value. Maybe I buy a cow. Maybe I buy a car. Maybe I buy a piece of land. Maybe I buy some gold. Maybe I buy a fake piece of silver.
That's like not a fucking cause. That's just asset management.
No, it is a cause because you know how hard it is.
It's not a fucking cause. Get out of here. You're getting
hard
because you dump assets that inflate for ones that produce something. That's not a fucking cause. That's just asset management.
It may be asset management, but it's also standing on what I believe. It's much easier for me if I just keep my money in the bank.
Hey, you know what? Then we're right there. We've got the same cause there. I just didn't recognize it as a cause because it's not.
Oh. But see, that's the thing. You may be doing stuff that has value, but you can't see it because you're so tied to this outcome that you see.
You can't see it.
No. I can see it. You can't. I believe you can't. I'll just say I believe you can't because you're so tied to the outcome and you believe that there's nothing worth risking everything for. Right? And freedom, I believe, is worth risking everything for.
Lou.
And this idea at one time,
whether or not you admit it, you're not free.
I get that.
Okay.
I used to say on my bottom of my thing, I used to have Lou, what was it used to say? Lou, slave, something, I forget. My moniker. Does anybody remember what I used to have down there? Pragmatically enslaved. I think what it was. So I'm pragmatically enslaved. Yeah. But I know that I exist on enemy territory. I know that. But if I don't recognize it as enemy territory and I do nothing to throw a fucking wrench into the wheels and I just say, okay, I'll just, whatever, you want me to pay your toll, I'll pay your toll. You want me to pay a license, I'll pay a license. You want me to do this, you want me to do that, no problem. And then it gets to the point where eventually you have nothing and then it gets so deep like it did in the Soviet Union. They got to the point where the guy who was running things for the top guy would say, hey, buddy, I noticed you got a 13-year-old daughter. Can you bring her to my office around 12 o'clock for my break? And if you didn't, then they were all dead.
Lou, what's the best way to fight a bureaucracy? Is it through their methods?
I'll go to the movie.
What?
The best way is not to play.
Well, that's not an option, though.
But you engage willingly.
Lou, so the fuck do you?
You engage hold on. No, I don't.
Okay, landlord.
Landlord is an extent a mutual exchange of value.
Okay.
That's
I don't know how the fuck you say that you pay more real estate taxes than I do.
Yes, because I have real estate. You don't.
Right.
So, I didn't say.
So you're not actually doing any of this shit that you're patting yourself on the back for. You're just talking and then engaging with the laws willingly where they affect you.
No, that's
yes,
not true.
You are.
I engage with what I can, and what I can't, I let go for now. I have plans. And my plans will eventually come. You have
plans? Are your plans to stand on your square until all your assets get foreclosed on?
No, that I'm not willing to do. But
because that would benefit the institution.
But if it comes to that, I may have to be willing to do that too. As far as traveling freely, I have been traveling freely. I do not register my vehicles anymore. They're not all that stuff. So I don't care. I don't need to tell anybody about what I do, but I do that.
Need to. I actually wouldn't ask you if you weren't so hard up to know about my specifics.
I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to give me specific details, but it doesn't matter anyways. You can give a more.
I'm not going to give you shit. I'm not giving anything else.
Hey, don't give me shit. That's fine.
You were right the first time. I don't do a damn thing. I willingly participate with the government and all its oppressions. The reality is that we're all born into a paradigm in which we have to play the game. We are not God. We are not the highest authority. We can behave how we want to, but there are certain things that have repercussions that make it just sort of a self-destructive choice.
Okay. And if that's the way you see it,
denying that we are subject to the reality that we're born into, not that we can't impact it.
I don't deny it.
Not that we can't play. I don't view rules as boundaries. I view them as the marker for high risk activities. But to act like nobody's going to tell me to get a license, blah blah blah. Like sometimes you got to just choose your battles better.
Yes, and I agree with that to a degree. The problem I see is there's most people. I don't know about you. I don't know what you do, but 99% of the slaves out there will never choose a battle. They exist in a perpetual state of Stockholm syndrome, where they identify with their captor, where they start to make excuses for their captor. I personally believe that you are in that state, right? So you're not willing to stand on your square because you identify at this point with your captor. You've given the captor all the power, and you've not believed enough in yourself to say, no, I am the power.
And I actually don't believe that you believe that. I don't know what game you're playing, but I believe that you're lying to me to try to manipulate me into doing something. I don't know why.
You don't have to do anything, bro. I can tell you that I do believe this. I could tell you that I believed it most of my life. I could tell you that I only spent a few years heavily engaged in the system where I was told, you need to conform. And at some point I was ready for that idea and I allowed it into my life. And it was at that point that I lost a lot of the people around me, because some of the people that were around me were there because they saw that I was willing to stand on something that was more honorable, more real, more valuable in general.
This is the Talcott light self.
What do you mean the Talcott light? I don't understand.
Everybody else is doing things wrong. Everything went wrong in your life because you were so virtuous, and the people around you did not appreciate your virtue. That's
I didn't say that.
But why? No, but see, these people have a job, and their job is to protect us from tyranny, not be the tyranny. So it's a lot different. There are employees, and for us to be able to have to do what they say, that's extortion. And for anybody to say that we have to obey, the insurance thing, but that's where you got an indemnity bond that goes with your insurity bond. If you look at your
have one of those?
What?
And do you have a bond?
Do you have a birth certificate?
We're doing this thing.
No, I'm just asking you. I'm not trying to be a smartass.
Yes, I have a birth certificate.
Okay, so if you look at the bottom of your birth certificate, there's a round stamp.
It's not a routing number.
Anyways, if you look at that, it's a bond number, and that's the same person that the judge can go, okay, now he owes such and such on a bond. People like the judge can announce the bond on you as a dead entity, because you as a living man or woman on the land and soil jurisdiction, statutes, codes, ordinances, and policies do not even apply to a living man. That applies to a corporation. They have a job to uphold. Without us, they wouldn't have a job. So no, to tell us that we have to obey some government officials that is crooked as hell, when we have we have starving in America, but we have trillionaires with 10, 20 yachts. Nah, it ain't cool.
Do y'all hear little triumphant music playing in your heads when you do these things?
I'm just going to pause you guys for a moment and say, if anyone wants to tag team with Flow State, you're welcome to come up and tag team with him. This can be a tag team match. So Yeah, I just made that up myself. Go ahead.
But in the end, none of this may matter at all. I'll give you that. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. And if you really just look at the world as everything's a cost benefit analysis, then that's a pretty, I don't know, to me, a sterile, valueless, uninspiring place to live. And I don't think you're giving anyone's giving their offspring any value in that. They're not giving them the ability to see the world for more than what it is. It's just a cost benefit analysis.
Actually, it is a cost benefit analysis. That's an accurate.
That's all the world becomes for some people,
well,
and for most, that's all it is. And that's
and
why
if you think that there's value in delusions,
why you were on meth, that's why I was on heroin. That's most of the reasons why people are heavily addicted to things. Where in the past, a village might have one village drunk. Now, everybody's a village drunk, and there's no more villagers. Right? Everybody's just drunk.
I do agree with that. I think that there's a crisis of how do I phrase this? We don't have a fight. There's not a battle that we have to do to survive or overcome or whatever, and we haven't for a couple generations now, and so we create our own. Where we don't really need one.
I'm not saying it's a fight. It's a choice. It's
an adversary.
It's a choice to live in what and create value in the way you see is most honorable, and not for what gets you the best result. It's a way of staying in today rather than in tomorrow. It's a way of forgetting about the past and really accepting what the world is in this moment. It's doing what's right now, no matter what comes tomorrow, right? And that gives a person a sense of, even if it goes wrong and you end up in a box, it gives you a higher sense of power. You actually feel better about yourself. When you're doing it as a cost-benefit analysis, constantly just doing this because it gets you that, and this because it does this, and here I'll play with your balls, but I won't suck your dick, and give me $1.50 rather than it becomes just endless, hopeless, valueless, spiritless.
It doesn't matter that you go in a box. Why are you doing any behavior that will keep you out of the box?
I didn't understand that interjection.
Me either.
Hold on a second. I'm going to pause. Hold on a second. I'm going to pause this for a minute. Please speak. Is that you, Grace?
Hello. Yes.
All right. Just making sure.
Did you get lost, little girl?
Bring you on screen.
Well, that was
a second.
Little girl.
Who is this?
This is
Grace Thorpe.
Before we go on, I would like for you just to choose your side because.
Well, we know where the side is. And here,
I'm choosing Flow State for now.
All right. How about you, Hank?
I was with Flow State, but I actually had to leave soon. So Derek, you tag team with Flow State. I'm gonna go do.
No. He's wanting you to vote. I think
vote. Of course, I'm voting for Flow State.
All right. Okay. I just wanted to know where you were at. Okay. So welcome, Grace. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I heard. I'm trying to get a sense of the debate. It's kind of like sovereign citizen versus normie take or something. I'm trying to get
approximately. That's pretty much the debate, and we have tag teams here, so we were able to.
It's not the debate.
And there's no such thing as a sovereign citizen.
That's not the debate.
Holy shit!
The debate was legal versus lawful, and
the debate is what's real and what's false. The debate is what has honor and what has none. The debate is whether you suck dick for whatever, or give your
whatever.
up.
Don't listen to Lou. Obviously, I don't think he got a grasp of what the debate was about, but it's okay. I mean,
let
it boils down to: are you going to engage with the world like an adult, or are you going to trounce around in your imaginary fifis because you like it better there?
Adult. What is the root word of that? Can someone look it up?
Nah, you and Chris
You're
Ross
not
can
going
play
there,
this
man.
shit together.
Adult. You're an adult. You're adult. You can't see for your own. You can't see because you're having blinders.
That is not
No.
what it means. It was
Well, I'm
not
telling you,
derived
that's
from the
how I
root word
see it.
for goal.
You are adult.
See, you're doing it again. You're just
Lou.
making shit up because
Flo,
you
he's
like it that
cooking
way.
you. He's cooking you, Flo.